Being alone doesn't mean being unprepared. Walking the path of a Ronin is not just about solitude, it's about readiness. Not just breaking free from control, but developing the strength to face whatever comes your way. The Ronin doesn't escape the world, he simply meets it differently, with stillness instead of panic, with clarity instead of chaos. This inner state is what made Miyamoto Musashi so dangerous, so effective, and so legendary. He didn't just master the sword, he mastered the warrior's mind, a way of thinking and being that allowed him to face conflict, uncertainty, and change with unshakable calm. Musashi didn't thrive because the world around him was calm. Far from it. He lived during one of Japan's most unstable eras, a time of civil war, shifting allegiances, political upheaval, and endless violence. But in that chaos, he stood still. While others clung to rank or tradition for safety, Musashi relied on something deeper, his mind. He trained it relentlessly. Not just to calculate strategy or technique, but to remain clear when everything around him was falling apart. That kind of presence isn't natural, it's earned. And for Musashi, it came through a concept deeply rooted in Zen, Mushin, no mind. At first glance, no mind sounds like emptiness, like thoughtlessness. But it's the opposite. Mushin is not the absence of thought, it's the absence of clutter. It's what remains when fear, doubt, hesitation, and ego have been stripped away. In Mushin, you are fully aware, fully present, but not distracted by the voice in your head second-guessing your every move. There's no script, no rehearsed plan. You just act, immediately, correctly, intuitively. That's why Musashi was so unpredictable in battle. He didn't follow form, he followed flow. He responded to what was, not what he wished would happen. Think about that in the context of modern life. Most people are mentally scattered. When stress hits, they panic. When something unexpected happens, they freeze. They need time to adjust, to think, to analyze. But the Ronin can't afford hesitation. Whether in a duel or in daily life, delay is defeat. Mushin is about training your mind to be as sharp as your weapon. It's about being ready, not with a plan, but with a mindset that can handle anything. And that's not limited to warriors. In fact, it's more useful now than ever. To cultivate Mushin in modern life means learning how to stay composed in discomfort. When plans fail, when people disappoint you, when life throws the unexpected, do you spiral or do you adapt? Musashi's strategy was simple: stay calm, observe, respond. He didn't get attached to outcomes. He didn't panic when the situation changed. He flowed like water but cut like steel. His power wasn't just in what he did, it was in how he did it, with presence, with poise, with total self-command. This idea aligns closely with Stoicism, another philosophy built on facing life's chaos without flinching. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That's the warrior's mind, not the ability to control the world, but the ability to control your response. Seneca put it this way: we suffer more in imagination than in reality. In other words, our fears are often illusions, projections of a mind that hasn't been trained. But Musashi and the Stoics shared this insight. A prepared mind doesn't fear hardship, it welcomes it, because hardship is where strength is refined. Musashi trained not just in swordsmanship, but in painting, calligraphy, sculpture, and strategy. Why? Because he knew that the way is broad. As he famously said, "If you know the way broadly, you will see it in all things." He wasn't just learning to fight, he was learning how to move through the world, with grace, with awareness, with mastery. Every discipline became a mirror for his mind. Whether holding a brush or a blade, he was practicing the same thing: calm focus, pure action, no hesitation. And this is something we can practice too. You don't need a sword to train like a warrior. You don't need a battlefield to prepare your mind. Everyday life is full of small duels. Moments of stress, conflict, fear, temptation. How do you respond? Do you react emotionally, impulsively? Or do you observe, breathe, and respond with intention? That's the practice. That's mushin in motion. Start with your morning routine. Start with how you respond to criticism. Start with how you handle delay, discomfort, or disappointment. These are the perfect training grounds for cultivating stillness. Stillness doesn't mean inaction. It means clear action, deliberate action. Action that comes from choice, not compulsion. The Ronin doesn't suppress emotion, but he's not ruled by it either. He feels everything, but lets nothing control him. That's the paradox of the warrior's mind. Fierce but calm, fluid but grounded, alone but never lost. In a world addicted to reaction, the Ronin stands out because he responds. In a culture driven by performance, he is real. In times of panic, he is the eye of the storm. And this isn't just poetic, it's practical. The more you cultivate stillness, the more you win, in relationships, in work, in purpose. Because you're not chasing, you're not running, you're ready. Musashi faced death more than 60 times and never lost. Not because he was the fastest, not because he was the strongest, but because he remained still inside. His enemies swung swords, but Musashi read minds. He anticipated, adjusted, acted, no wasted movement, no noise, just presence. That kind of composure comes from one place, knowing yourself. That's the root of all readiness. If you know who you are, what you value, what you're willing to endure, then the world can't shake you. That's why Musashi always trained alone. He didn't need anyone else to tell him what to do. He didn't rely on anyone else's strategy. He didn't borrow strength. He built it. Day by day, choice by choice, breath by breath. So how do we build the warrior's mind in our world? First, stop outsourcing your peace. Don't wait for the world to calm down so you can feel calm. Train your nervous system to stay grounded no matter what. Cold showers, silence, physical practice, intentional breathing. Second, eliminate distractions. The mind needs space to settle. You can't think clearly in a room full of noise. That includes digital noise. Cut it, reduce it, protect your attention like it's sacred, because it is. And third, face challenge deliberately. Don't avoid it, seek it. Musashi didn't sharpen his sword once and call it a day. He put himself in the fire over and over, because that's how clarity is forged. A Ronin is not reckless, he's razor sharp, and he knows that clarity under pressure is not a talent, it's a habit, it's a choice. Every time you stay grounded instead of panicking, you become more powerful. Every time you listen instead of reacting, you become more dangerous, in the best way. Stillness is your superpower, and in a world full of noise, it makes you unstoppable. You don't need to wear robes or carry a sword to walk the path of the Ronin. You don't need to retreat into a mountain cave or swear off modern life. The Ronin path isn't about living in the past. It's about living with principle in the present. It's about stripping away what's false and building a life that's yours, deeply, honestly, deliberately. And while the world around us has changed since Musashi's time, the core struggle remains the same. Will you follow the script handed to you, or will you write your own? Most people today aren't bound to a feudal lord, but many are still serving masters, invisible ones, social approval, career status, financial anxiety, constant comparison, cultural trends. These pressures are more subtle now, more sophisticated but just as powerful. They shape what we chase, how we speak, what we believe, and what we avoid. The modern Ronin doesn't just reject these blindly, he sees them. And he chooses something better, a path of intention. A life not built by algorithms or groupthink, but by clarity, solitude, and self-respect. You don't need to become a monk or a minimalist overnight. You don't have to disappear or start shaving your head. You just have to start choosing. You have to make small, consistent choices that move you toward authenticity and away from conformity. The modern Ronin walks with his own rhythm, no matter how loud the world gets. He knows that it's not rebellion for rebellion's sake. It's alignment. It's remembering who you are when everything around you is trying to make you forget. Let's make this practical. First, reject blind conformity. That doesn't mean rejecting everything, it means questioning everything. Why do you want what you want? Who gave you your definition of success? What would you do with your life if no one was watching? These aren't rhetorical questions, they're tools. Use them to examine your work, your routines, your relationships, anything that feels like it was handed to you. Dig into it. Keep what's real. Let go of what's just noise. Second, choose solitude. Not all the time, but enough to hear yourself think. Enough to separate your voice from the voices around you. We've talked about this before, but in the modern world, solitude is a radical act. Take one day a week where you disconnect. No phone, no distractions, just you, a notebook, maybe a walk. It's not about escaping others, it's about reconnecting with yourself. That's where clarity comes from, not from scrolling, but from silence. Third, build your code. We already covered this in depth, but here's where it meets your daily life. Once you've written your code, even if it's just 3 rules, live by it every day. Make it visible. Tape it to your mirror, carry it in your wallet, recite it in the morning. A code is not a decoration, it's a compass. When things get hard, and they will, that code reminds you how to move forward, with integrity, with clarity, with discipline. Fourth, live light. Musashi traveled with almost nothing, not because he had to, but because he wanted to move freely. In a modern context, this doesn't mean selling all your things. It means asking, what's weighing me down? What's cluttering my space, my mind, my heart? What subscriptions do you never use? What social obligations drain you? What ideas are you holding on to that no longer serve who you're becoming? Let go, simplify, travel lighter, physically, emotionally, mentally, because freedom isn't found in excess, it's found in clarity. Fifth, stay adaptable. The Ronin didn't have a fixed role in society. He had to stay sharp, learn quickly, move when the situation demanded it. That's a valuable mindset in a world that's constantly shifting. Jobs change, technologies evolve, the world moves fast. The Ronin isn't rigid, he's resilient. He doesn't panic when things break. He recalibrates, learns, adjusts. He knows that survival favors the flexible, not the fixed. Sixth, learn from hardship. Musashi embraced discomfort as a training ground, and in your life, pain is part of the process. That doesn't mean you go looking for suffering, but when it comes, and it will, use it. Let it refine you. Every difficulty is a mirror. Every failure is a teacher. Don't numb it, don't run. Meet it with stillness, with breath, with the question, what is this showing me? Because sometimes the obstacle is not in the way, it is the way. Seventh, train the mind. If you don't, someone else will. In a world of endless content, information is cheap, but wisdom is rare. Start reading again, not just scrolling. Read philosophy, read fiction, read anything that stretches your mind and feeds your spirit. And write, journal daily, even just a few sentences, not for perfection, for reflection. This is how you understand your thoughts instead of being ruled by them. And finally, detox your attention. You cannot live like a Ronin if your mind belongs to your screen. You can't train stillness if you never put down your phone. Digital detachment doesn't mean deleting everything. It means controlling your inputs, set boundaries, turn off notifications, limit what you consume, choose signal over noise, create more than you consume, because attention is energy and energy is life. Don't give it away freely. These practices aren't just suggestions, they're tools. Sharpen them daily. Use them to build a life of presence, integrity, and freedom. Because the truth is, your job is not your identity. Your followers are not your worth. Your productivity is not your soul. You are not here to impress the world. You are here to become yourself. And that takes courage. That takes solitude. That takes clarity. And the willingness to stand alone. But here's the thing no one tells you. Standing alone doesn't mean being alone. The more you walk your path, the more you'll begin to recognize others on theirs. Quietly, humbly, with eyes that understand. They won't be many, but they'll be real, and that's enough. The Ronin doesn't walk for applause, he walks for truth. So take a moment right now, breathe, ask yourself, where am I still performing? Where am I still following instead of choosing? What needs to be let go and what needs to be built? Write it down, sit with it, let it sink in. The modern Ronin doesn't need a battlefield to fight. He's already in one, inside his own mind, inside the pressure to conform, inside the noise that drowns clarity. And every day he chooses presence over panic, purpose over distraction, the real over the easy. That's the way, and you can walk it too. At the end of his life, Miyamoto Musashi didn't seek a grand stage. He didn't gather admirers or hold a final duel to seal his legend. He didn't crave one last victory. Instead, he retreated, as he always had, into solitude, into stillness, into silence. In a cave called Ragando, Musashi sat down with a brush and left behind his final gift to the world. His thoughts, his truth, his code. He didn't leave us trophies or riches. He left clarity. The last thing he gave to the world was wisdom, because that's what he had truly mastered. He died alone, but not empty. Quite the opposite. Musashi died full. Full of experience, of principle, of intention. Full of himself in the best possible way. Not inflated by ego, but complete because he had given himself entirely to the path. He didn't hold back, he didn't delay, he didn't waste his life waiting to be understood. He walked the road most avoid, the road of solitude, of truth, of radical ownership, and he walked it all the way to the end. There's a kind of freedom that only comes when you live like that, when you stop chasing what others think you should be, when you stop measuring yourself by borrowed metrics, by how many people clap, or how much money you've made, or how closely your life resembles the blueprint sold to you. Musashi reminds us that the point isn't to win the game. The point is to see through it, to realize that you were never meant to play someone else's version of success. You were meant to write your own rules and follow them completely. Most people spend their lives trying to be understood, to be accepted, to be approved of. But there's something more important than being understood. And that's being true. The truth is often quiet. It doesn't make you popular. It doesn't always get you likes or applause, but it grounds you. It makes your life yours. And in the end, that's what matters. When everything else is stripped away, status, possessions, reputation, what remains is who you chose to be. Walking alone doesn't mean being lost. It means forging the map yourself. It means waking up and asking not what should I do, but what's real for me. It means building your life from the inside out, not the outside in. It means risking the loneliness of not fitting in exchange for the peace of belonging to yourself. It's not always comfortable. In fact, it rarely is. There will be times you feel misunderstood, times you feel like the world is moving in one direction and you're quietly walking in the opposite. That's okay. That's part of the way. The Ronin doesn't walk to impress. He walks to become. He walks not because the path is easy, but because the path is right. Musashi wasn't waiting for the perfect moment to begin. He wasn't hoping for the world to understand him first. He wasn't building a brand or trying to go viral. He was too busy living, sharpening, practicing, writing, refining. He knew something that we often forget. The world doesn't need more noise. It needs more people who are awake, more people who are grounded, honest, courageous, people who don't just talk about the path, they walk it. Step by step, walk the 1,000-mile path. That's what Musashi told us. Not rush, not arrive, just walk. Step by step, day by day, with presence, with discipline, with heart. And that's the real call here. Not to become someone else, not to escape life, but to show up for your own life fully and to keep walking even when no one's watching, even when the rewards aren't immediate, even when it's hard. So let me ask you now, as we close this journey, what master are you still serving? Is it fear? Is it the past? Is it a job title? A relationship? An image of who you think you're supposed to be? What's keeping you from walking your path? The one you know is yours? It doesn't take a dramatic gesture to begin. You don't need to quit your job tomorrow or move to a mountain. You just need to start paying attention. Start noticing where you're compromising. Start noticing where your actions are out of alignment with your values. Start listening to the voice you've been silencing, the one that's been asking you for something real. Maybe that voice is asking for simplicity. Maybe it's asking for solitude. Maybe it's asking for the courage to say no to something that doesn't feel right, even if it looks right on paper. Whatever it is, listen, and once you've heard it, act. Not perfectly, not dramatically, just honestly, step by step, one choice at a time. That's how the 1,000-mile path is walked. That's how it's always been walked. Musashi didn't start out a master. He started out a boy with a wooden sword standing alone. But he kept walking, he kept refining. And in the end, he became one of the most disciplined, fearless, and grounded human beings history has ever known. Not because he followed orders, not because he chased applause, but because he stayed true to himself, to the path, to the code he wrote with his own hand. And that's what you're being asked to do now. Not to be Musashi, but to be you fully. Start your Ronin journey today by questioning what no longer serves you, by aligning your choices with your deepest values, by listening to the still, small voice inside you that knows the way. You don't need a master. You just need to choose the truth over comfort, stillness over panic, discipline over distraction, because when you do, you won't need to be told where to go. You'll know, and you won't need to be carried. You'll walk, step by step. And one day, like Musashi, you'll look back and realize you didn't just walk the path, you became it.